Ah, young love. There isn't anything quite like it. When we were younger, we obviously didn't get outside too much and instead spent time hanging with our favorite cartoon characters. It was here we fell in love for the first time, not with another human being, no. Gosh, that sounds scary. But with some of the animated characters in some of our favorite shows. Something about them just made our hearts race and our brains turn to mush, even if we didn't exactly know why at that age. So many confusing feelings. So here is the definite list of the most crush-worthy Nickelodeon characters. Let's get into it right now.
Wow, I feel safe.
A self-proclaimed goth, Sam Manson in the ghostly Danny Phantom had us so under her spell that we'd even be willing to try out her ultra-recyclo vegetarian diet, meaning we don't eat anything with a face, and that's really saying something. Things with faces are the most delicious. But Sam was different than most goths on television, with the stereotypical goth persona seemingly more an outlet for independence and individuality than it was for wanting to be dark and dreary. She fits right in with Danny and Tucker, and this trio has been through thick and thin together. It also helps that her leaning toward goth culture makes her a little bit more receptive to the occult supernatural happenings that constantly take place around her. You need to have a certain acceptance of otherworldly events if you're going to secretly have a crush on a boy who can turn himself into a ghost. Overall, every new facet about Sam's personality gives us more to like about her. She's passionate and strong-willed, but will always come to her friend's defense and will always do the right thing. She loves good music and has a fondness for monster movies and samurai films, which is just another reason for our childhood infatuation with her.
This may be a little tough, but try to block me.
There was a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender characters we could have picked for a spot on this list, but after watching Suki nimbly execute a daring kidnapping of the prison warden in the show's third season, she not only captured her target, but also our hearts. Aww. Susie's the leader of the Kyoshi Warriors, the awesome elite female fighting unit who protect Kyoshi Island from danger and threats. Suki and her fellow warriors are introduced in episode 4 of the series and remained a steadfast presence throughout the entire show. Of course, we know Suki belongs with Sokka, but in the beginning, Sokka had trouble recognizing how awesome Suki actually was, thanks to his general stubbornness and arrogance. Then, even after she and Sokka shared a small romantic moment, he got sidetracked by a girl who was too busy turning herself into the moon to really realize where his heart was pointing him. In the world of Avatar, there are some individuals with amazing abilities, but it's the everyday people like Suki who, even without bending, are extremely capable of getting the job done. Plus, she looks great in a uniform and really fans our flames, if you know what we mean. It doesn't matter what medium or show the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are on. No matter what, we're pretty sure we crushed on almost every iteration of April O'Neil. That was especially true in the 2012 version of the show, which saw April quickly become friends with these masked pizza-loving reptiles and start to feel more comfortable around them than she was with the other students at her school. Clever and independent, April wasn't content to sit on the sidelines and let bad things happen to her. She went to Master Splinter, who started training her in ninjutsu, helping her become faster, stealthier, and all-around better warrior. So what if she had a certain type of telepathy? So what if it was revealed that she's actually half human, half Krang, a multi-tentacled brain-looking species from Dimension X? As long as she doesn't look like her Krang side, we're confident we'd still like her. Heck, who are we kidding? Even if she morphed into a gigantic brain and spreaded tentacles all over her body, we're pretty sure we'd still crush on April. Hey, come on, it's not weird! The weird thing is why the turtles wear masks. Who are they hiding from anyway?
Gold, gold, gold!
Although the ability to talk to animals is a neat parlor trick, we all know the most interesting character in the wild Thornberries isn't Eliza. It's her older sister Debbie Thornberry. And maybe we think that because we had a teeny tiny crush on her. The only way to describe Debbie is 100% 90s. She always rocks her green flannel shirt, torn blue jeans, brown boots, and of course, her frizzy wild hair. She's like the closest Nickelodeon could get to the classic 90s grunge look without going full Nirvana, and boy did it work. Debbie's not caring, rebel against the world attitude really won us over. And on some level, we often feel bad for Debbie as her family travels around the world to exotic place after exotic place because at her core, Debbie just wants to have a normal teenage life like everyone else. She wants to date boys, buy CDs, watch movies with her friends, all that stereotypical stuff, but she just can't do it. Of course, we don't feel too bad for her as she gets to experience the world in a way no one else does, but she's still a relatable character.
You letting off steam is starting to hurt.
When the sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender, known as The Legend of Korra, was released, we were introduced to another cast of lovable characters, but there was really only one that got our hearts beating just a tiny bit faster. Naga the polar dog. Okay, besides her. We have to admit, Asami Sato really grew on us after a while. First introduced as a love interest to Mayo, Asami seemed practically too perfect. She was beautiful, smart, and the only child of Hiroshi Sato, the man behind the dominant future industries. Our only question was what someone like her was doing with a mopey dope like Mayo. But as we learned more about Asami, we learned that she wasn't the type to play damsel in distress or daddy's little girl. When she found out that her father was working with the Equalists, people who hate bending, she rejected his mindset and helped put a stop to him. Did she stop there? No. As soon as she took over Future Industries herself with the goal of restoring the troubled company back to its former glory. Amidst all that, she still constantly assisted Korra, being her great friend, and eventually grew to be something more.
We want to show the world what Power Girl surfers can do.
Reggie Rocket is Otto's tomboyish, kind of all-around awesome older sister in Nickelodeon's gnarly extreme sports cartoon Rocket Power. With her level-headedness and sense of maturity, we're pretty sure this gang of extreme sport enthusiasts would quickly disappear in a tornado. They need someone like Reggie around to help guide them. She's cute, but that seems like the absolute last thing you'd want to tell Reggie to her face. Or else she'd challenge you to some extreme sport you'd probably fail at. She's so cool that she usually walks around with sunglasses on her head, but never seems to actually wear them. That is cool. Who needs protective eyewear when you're that radical, right? Even though she likes to shred the gnar. Yeah, that's an actual phrase. Yes, we had to Google it too. Reggie had her own goals and dreams outside the world of extreme sports. Although she could probably go pro with her athletic skills, she really wants to be a publisher and even works to publish her own magazine known as Reggie's Zine. So she can skate like a pro and finds time to publish her own magazine. We can't even bend over to tie her own shoes without getting winded. Whew. It's very fitting that Lila Sawyer from Hey Arnold makes her first appearance in the episode titled Miss Perfect, because in our eyes, it's practically true. Lila was like a bomb dropped on the kids at PS 118. A bomb of sweetness and kindness, that is. It's not a shock to find out that Arnold quickly developed feelings for this Pippi Longstocking stand-in. Always the polite one, Lila speaks and stands with poise and grace, usually adding things like ever so or oh so to basically every sentence. Sure, it can be oh so annoying at times, but Lila is just such a nice overall presence that we can look past it. We learn that she only puts up this perfect persona because she's actually quite sad on the inside, which was a revelation that just broke all of our hearts.
My old swimsuit still fits.
Amidst all the magical hijinks and crazy Wanda and Cosmo shenanigans, there's one thing about the Fairly OddParents that truly stands out. Forget the wishes and true abundance of pink hats, because it's all just a distraction to avert our eyes away from the absolute best crush-worthy character in all of the Fairly OddParents. And sorry to burst your bubble, but it's certainly not Mr. Crocker. No, the one character we have butterflies for is none other than Mrs. Turner, Timmy's mom. You could argue that Mrs. Turner is the true star of Fairly OddParents in the way that she deftly handles her son's mysterious behavior, along with her husband's man-child tendencies, with a certain grace and poise that goes unmatched. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, as Timmy's mom has proven to be just as difficult to deal with as Mr. Turner, but we're too blinded with rose-covered glasses to really care. And if you think about what this woman has gone through, meaning becoming a superhero, breaking her back multiple times, and dealing with the crippling feeling of dread that she can't plant flowers correctly, you can tell all she really needs is a comforting hug. Stay positive, Mrs. Turner.
Here you go.
She's a state-of-the-art robotic protector of Earth. She's armed with enough advanced weaponry and gadgets at her disposal that she'd make Tony Stark gape in awe. She's one of the most powerful pieces of equipment in the whole world, and yet XJ9, better known as Jenny Wakeman, is a robot and just wants to live the life of a normal teenager. Is that really too much to ask? The Nickelodeon show My Life as a Teenage Robot asks the question on everyone's mind. What happens when a robot wants to live a normal life? Putting aside the deep existential questions about a robot wanting to live a human life, the show is more about the wacky balance that XJ9, Jenny, has to maintain as she grapples with both world-saving antics and normal teenage problems. But man, if we were in high school and a new robot girl sauntered in with her death lasers and shiny blue chrome plating, someone better call a doctor, because we got a bad case of love running through us. So what if she's a robot and weighs 600 pounds? Jenny's basically a dream girl.
Bring it on. I have a lot to say.
We like Ginger Fowley in Nickelodeon's groundbreaking As Told by Ginger for a lot of different reasons. She was an outsider looking into the popular hierarchy at her school. She, like a lot of younger kids, just wished for a shot at absolute popularity, to be a big deal at school. And it was through Ginger's struggles that we found her relatable and someone to root for. And all the things that made her unpopular in school would be the things that are celebrated in the real world. She's proven to be academically gifted and loves science, but also excels at writing. She's so gifted with words that it isn't a huge surprise when we find out she's become a successful author in the future. The reason we like Ginger and her show so much is that it's not afraid to change. It's one of the rare kids' cartoons that actually has its characters grow and change over time. Watching Ginger experience personal growth as she learns to accept herself and go after what she wants is a really inspiring tale that we can all get behind.
Welcome
What's worse than having mayonnaise on your burger? How about having mayonnaise as your last name? Can you imagine the torment and ridicule you'd face every day at school during roll call? Do you think you'll ever be taken serious in the workforce if you share a last name with the most disgusting of all condiments? Yeah, we really hate mayonnaise. That's why we've got to applaud Patty Mayonnaise in the Nickelodeon show Doug for still turning out to be such a likable and crush-worthy character even with such a cringe-worthy name. And is it surprising that our hero Doug has a crush on Patty? Not at all! Throughout the series, Patty proves herself to be a great friend with an extremely positive attitude, which is definitely someone that Doug needs in his life because if it wasn't a kid's show, we'd be quick to say Doug suffers from signs of depression. But Patty isn't perfect. She's flawed just like everyone else. She's a great athlete, but she's also very competitive when it comes to the sports she plays. She's nice to everyone around her, but isn't afraid to stand up for herself and speak her mind. Now only if we could do something about that last name. Ugh. They're not always the angry beavers. Sometimes they're the in-love beavers. Okay, yeah, angry beavers sounds better. This classic Nickelodeon show follows two young beaver brothers, Norbert and Daggert, who move out of their parents' home to become bachelors in an Oregon forest. Throughout the show, one of Norbert's love interests is Treeflower, a spirited beaver whom Norbert met at an outdoor concert. Forget Judy Hopps in Zootopia because Treeflower is the only animal we had a crush on as kids. And being with Treeflower promises to never, ever be boring, as her whole personality is based on the fact that she's jumped around a lot of jobs and wears a lot of hats. She's been everything from an elevator music composer to a firefighter, and by the looks of it, both are jobs she could probably excel at. But maybe we're a bit biased. Norbert met Treeflower at an outdoor concert, which, come on, of course he did. You don't meet free-spirited personalities with a name like Treeflower at any other place than an outdoor music concert. Much like Norbert, we were struck with Cupid's arrow, but we have a feeling Treeflower is only destined to break our hearts. Maybe now it's a little weird, but back when we were younger, it was perfectly natural to have a crush on a genius talking squirrel with a southern drawl and fondness for karate. Yeah, we're talking about none other than Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob SquarePants, the lovable scientist from Texas who came down to the bottom of the ocean to study sea creatures and their lifestyles. Decked out in her sea suit, we just can't help but smile at the thought of her. And boy, what a shock it must have been for her family to find the thriving Bikini Bottom community. Luckily, she quickly became good friends with SpongeBob and Patrick, with the three forming a very close bond and ready to go on wacky adventure after wacky adventure. Sandy is the level-headed one in the group, often stopping SpongeBob and Patrick from doing something too crazy, and it's her overall calmness and logical mindset that endears us to the squirrel. But of course, every crush has a downside. Never interrupt Sandy when she's hibernating, or else it might be the last thing you ever do. But who knows, maybe there are those who find her cuter when she's hulked up in rage mode.
Tomorrow we're officially practically teenagers!
Kimi Finster was a late addition to the Rugrats crew, only joining in Rugrats in Paris, the movie, but she quickly made an impression on the group. She had a brave and adventurous attitude, much like their leader, Tommy, and that rigorous spirit stayed with her in the Rugrats spin-off series All Grown Up, which followed the kids struggling with their teenage years and getting to do all sorts of new and crazy adventures. At least now they didn't need a change of diapers all the time, though. Ugh. We saw that Kimi was still an adventurous soul, always willing to look before she leaps and speak her mind. It's a nice personality to have, especially compared to the scaredy cat Chucky. But in All Grown Up, Kimi continues to be a strong influence on Chucky, helping him overcome his shyness and nervousness in many different situations. The only difficult thing about Kimi happened when she said she used to have a crush on Tommy, but really who wouldn't? With that purple hair and can-do attitude, we'd fall for Tommy too. Overall, Kimi's just a lot of fun. Probably the most fun about all the Rugrats, which is really saying something.
Yeah, Melba. Yeah, Melba. Yeah, Melba.
Melba Toast is quite possibly the most attractive woman in the whole universe. Aliens could come from light years away seeking true beauty, only to be totally unprepared for the indescribable beauty of Melba Toast. And really, indescribable beauty is perhaps the best way to describe Melba Toast from Nickelodeon's Rocko's Modern Life, because, well, we don't even know what she looks like. That's right, throughout the course of the series we only catch small glimpses of Melba Toast, Rocko's next-door neighbor, but never a full look. The only thing we know about Melba comes from the comic the show is based on, which describes Melba as a beautiful and famous model for high-end beauty products. No wonder Rocko seems totally head over heels for her. It's hard to love someone if you have no idea what they look or sound like, so Melba probably looks very different in all of our heads. But we should actually be careful, given how twisted Rocko's modern life could be. Don't be surprised if Melba has the head of a snake with a pig nose and horse teeth. We can't say for sure, but we have to trust Rocko's taste in women, and we're not sure we do.
Yeah, Melba. I'm gonna do it.
So that's our list of the biggest Nickelodeon character crushes of all time. Do you agree with our list? Which character did you have a crush on as a kid? Leave us a comment down below and be sure to subscribe to CBR for more awesome content. We'll see you again next time.